Hey there, nation, and welcome to the show where we help you to play miniatures wargaming on a budget. It is I, Commander Cheapskate, and we are back with another episode of Commander Cheapskate Game Reviews. And on today's episode, we are continuing looking at the Warhammer Armies Project created by Matthias Eliasson. And on this episode, we'll be taking a look at the expansion Regiments of Renown. So, for those of you guys who are unaware about the Regiments of Renown, the Regiments of Renown were a series of very specific and interesting units that were created by Games Workshop in earlier editions of Warhammer Fantasy Battle. They were actually units that were supposed to be used within an army known as the Dogs of War. Now, for those of you guys who don't know what the Dogs of War are, the Dogs of War were actually mercenary armies that were from the country of Tilia. Tilia, in the world of Warhammer Fantasy Battle, is actually Renaissance-era Italy set in a fantasy setting. It's down south, just south of the Empire, south of Astilia, which is, of course, the Warhammer Fantasy version of Spain. And it's actually right next to Skavenblight, actually, where the Skaven are actually from. So these guys were full of mercenary armies at that time. So when you had Dogs of War, when you filled a Dogs of War army, you had generic mercenary units you could use, or you could use the Regiments of Renown, which were basically specialized units that were unique to the Dogs of War. Now, these units could actually not only be taken by Dogs of War armies, they could also be taken by any army, pretty much almost every army in the Warhammer Fantasy setting. Now, dependent upon what army we were hosting and what unit you're taking would determine what kind of role they would play in your army and how well you could trust them, but there were things that you could use. Basically, they're like special characters of units, if that makes sense. So on this video, what we're going to do is we're actually going to go through this rule book and this supplement and take a look at all the different Regiments of Renown that you could hire for your armies as well. So this one, of course, will be a little bit more of a deeper dive than usual. So because of that, I will put timestamps down in the description box below, so that way you can navigate through as you want to and take a look at what this edition has been produced by Matthias Eliasson and the Warhammer Armies Project. So that being said, let's get this video on a roll. Alright, so let's go ahead and talk about the Regiments of Renown. So first of all, once again, this is made by Matthias Eliasson from the Warhammer Armies Project, and once again does a beautiful job with his desktop publishing ability on this one. Like I keep on saying, if you didn't know any better, you would assume this was actually a legitimate product from Games Workshop. So let's go ahead and talk about the army's content. So this one's actually kind of interesting, and the reason why that is the case is because there are no real major army rules or special characters or things like that nature. What you basically have is you have individual regiments, as you can see here. They're units that are basically laid out for you guys, and you can actually select which ones you actually want to include inside of your units for the most part. And it kind of talks about each of the different units as well and what they can do and what kind of capabilities you can use them for. So let's go ahead and go through these units one by one and talk about exactly what they can do. So first of all, let's go past the Army Special Rules as well. So as you can see here, when it comes to your regiments for hire, what ends up happening is that you have a base size of regiment you can hire when you originally take these units as well. And they have the point values associated for additional guys from those units that you recruit as well. So they give you points, their profiles, unit sizes, their troop types, their equipment, as well as their special rules for that unit as well as any magic items that the unit has as well. They're basically like self-contained units and special characters in one little fell swoop, which is actually kind of cool. At the same time, we do have this mercenaries rule, which is from the Dogs of War army as well. As you can see below, it says every time a unit with this special rule fails a break test, roll on the mercenary loyalty table below and apply the results. This rule has no effect on a unit that is joined by an army's general, paymaster, or merchant prince. On a 1 to 3, you have wavering loyalty. All models in the unit suffer a -1 modifier to their leadership for the rest of the battle. 4 to 5 is soldier on, the unit flees as normal, and 6 stand fast. The unit counts as having passed its break test. So there's a situation we have here with the mercenary special rules. So the first tip we're going to talk about real quick is the Alla Catani Fellowship, which is a unit of pikemen real quick. So as you can see here, let's go ahead and talk about these guys real fast. So you can see here, they got your what you call it, your stats, and this is what they were talking about earlier. So for 165 points, you get Rodrigo de la Monte and 19 pikemen, including a standard bearer and musician. This unit costs 165 points just by themselves. Additional pikemen may be added at a cost of 7 points per model. So Rodrigo, he has 4 movement, 4 weapon skill, 4 ballistic skill, 4 strength and toughness, 2 wounds, 4 initiative, 2 attacks, 8 leadership. For the pikemen for this unit, they have 4 movement, 3 weapon skill, 3 ballistic skill, 3 strength and toughness, 1 wound, 3 initiative, 1 attack, as well as 7 leadership. And of course it says this unit comes with pike as well as medium armor, as well as Rodrigo is equipped with 2 hand weapons and medium armor as well. So that's actually not bad for this unit, which is actually pretty good, all things considered. The reason why I say that's not actually bad, all things considered, is because originally the Alicante Brotherhood was actually quite low. They usually have weapon skill 2. They cost really, really low points, but looks like they gave them like a little bit of bump on these guys. They gave them medium armor, which is actually kind of nice for these guys as well. So after that, we have Perazzo's Lost Legion. Now this one's another pikeman unit, but the nice thing about this unit, let's go and talk about that real quick. The nice thing about these guys is actually it's a mixed unit. So let's go and talk about that specifically. So first of all, we have Perazzo himself. He has movement 4, 5 weapon skill, 5 ballistic skill, 4 strength and toughness, 2 wounds, 5 initiative, 3 attacks, 8 leadership. Your Legionnaire within that unit has 4 movement, 3 weapon skill and ballistic skill, 3 strength and toughness, 1 wound, 3 initiative, 1 attack, and 7 leadership. So let's talk about these guys. Perazzo and 9 Legionaries, including a standard bearer musician, cost 125 points. Not bad. Additional Legionaries may be added at a cost of 6 points per model. Any number of Legionaries may replace their pikes with crossbows for additional 3 points per model as well. So they're 9 points for crossbowmen, 6 points for pikemen. Now, let's say about this one. It says mixed formations. Any crossbow arm models in the unit must be placed as far forward in the unit as possible. During the game, remove casualties from the back as normal. It is assumed that the pike armed models step forward and discard their pikes to pick up the crossbows of the fallen first and second rankers. Only when all pikemen have been killed can casualties be taken from the crossbowmen. So this is kind of like the city guard that you see for Dark Elves. You have 2 ranks of pikemen, crossbowmen forward with pikemen behind them, protecting them so they can do close combat, they can do shooting. A very, very good, useful unit, especially if you have them flanked with other crossbow or handgun units as well. They can cause a lot of damage. You used to see this unit quite a bit in Dogs of War Army from earlier editions. Then you have Leopold's Leopard Company, which is another unit of pikemen as well. These guys have, for Leopold, he has movement 4, weapon skill 5, ballistic skill 5, 4 strength and toughness, 2 wounds, 5 initiative, 4 attacks, 8 leadership. The members of the Leopold's Leopard Company have 4 movement, 3 weapon skill, ballistic skill, 3 strength and toughness, 1 wound, 3 initiative, 1 attack, 7 leadership. Leopold and 19 companions, including a standard bearer musician, cost 220 points. Additional companions may be added at a cost of 8 points per model. Now these guys are armed with pikes as well as medium armor, and Leopold himself is equipped with a hand weapon, pistol, as well as medium armor as well. Now the nice thing about these guys, the reason why you want to take these guys a lot is because they have immunity to psychology. So because of these guys are not afraid of anything, so if you're going up against monsters and stuff, which is really good for pikemen especially, this will definitely help you up as well. These actually make great flanking protecting units because of the fact that most enemies will send their monstrous elements towards your flanks to sweep around you. So if you're afraid about facing against like that, having the Leopard Company will really help you out to do that. They have Rico's Republican Guard, another pikeman unit. So let's talk about these guys real quick. So these guys real fast. The Rico has a movement of 4, 5 weapon skill and ballistic skill, 4 strength and toughness, 2 wounds, 5 initiative, 3 attacks, 8 leadership. The Republican Guard have 4 movement, 4 weapon skill, so they're 1 point higher. They have 3 ballistic skill, 3 strength and toughness, 1 wound, 3 initiative, 1 attack, 7 leadership as well. Ragged Rico and 19 Republican Guards, including a standard bearer musician, cost a total of 260 points. Additional Republican Guards may be added at a cost of 10 points per model. And the reason why you take these guys is because they come with pike as well as full plate armor. So these guys have 4-up armor saves, and that's the reason why you take these guys, because these guys are heavily armored pikemen basically. Rico is equipped with 2 hand weapons as well as a full plate armor as well. So that's the reason why you take these guys, because they're much stronger tougher in terms of their armor save. So really good, another really good flanking unit as well. Then we have the Marksmen of Miragliano. These guys are crossbowmen. So let's talk about these guys real quick. So you have Maximilian, he's the captain. He's got 4 movement, 5 weapon skill, 5 ballistic skill, 4 strength and toughness, 2 wounds, 5 initiative, 3 attacks, 8 leadership. Your average marksman, 4 movement, 3 weapon skill, 4 ballistic skill. This is the reason why you take these guys. It's because of the 4 ballistic skill. They have 3 strength and toughness, 1 wound, 3 initiative, 1 attack, 7 leadership. Maximilian and 9 marksmen, including a standard bearer musician, cost 155 points. Additional marksmen may be added for a cost of 10 points per model. They come with hand weapons, crossbows, and light armor, and they have the marksman skill. Maximilian can reroll failed wounds to hit with his crossbow specifically. Oh, that's kind of sad. Okay, never mind. One of the reasons why you took these guys was a couple of reasons. One, they had a higher ballistic skill, and secondly, if I remember correctly, the entire regiment could reroll and fail to hit rolls originally. That's why you bought them, because they could do that. But it looks like they got nerfed a little bit in this edition of the rules. Which, because, you know, balance. Moving on. So we have Brenzanga's Besiegers, another crossbow unit. So let's talk about these guys real quick. So these guys right here, they carry, let's see, Braganza rather. He's got 4 movement, 5 weapon skill and ballistic skill, 4 strength and toughness, 2 wounds, 5 initiative, 3 attacks, 8 leadership. The Besieger has 4 movement, 3 weapon skill, 3 ballistic skill, 3 strength and toughness, 1 wound, 3 initiative, 1 attack, and 7 leadership. Brazanga has his 9 Besiegers. They cost 190 points. That includes a standard bearer musician. Additional Besiegers may be added for 13 points per model. And the reason why you took these guys is for their equipment. Their hand weapons, their crossbows, they all come with full plate armor and they all come with pavises. So they get that 2-up additional armor save from being shot at. So they have 2-up armor saves from being shot and a 4-up armor save in close combat. So these guys are quite deadly. And Braganza himself carries a hand weapon, a pistol, a crossbow, and full plate armor as well. So you see that we have their pavises right here as well. Now, originally in the original Dogs of War rulebook, this was the only unit that actually had the pavise attached to it. This was the only unit you could actually do it. But since in later editions of Dogs of War, especially with the current rulebook for this edition, you can actually get this for your crossbowmen for your core units. So that part is actually quite nice for these guys. Now, moving on, we have Vespero's Vendettas. These guys are actually quite good. These guys are duelists is what they are. They're duelist special characters. Vespero has a movement of 4, 6 weapon skill, 5 ballistic skills, 4 strength and toughness, 2 wounds, 6 initiative, 3 attacks, 8 leadership. At the same time, you have your duelists. They have 4 movement, 4 weapon skill, 3 ballistic skill, 3 strength and toughness, 1 wound, 4 initiative, 1 attack, and 7 leadership. Vespero and 4 duelists cost 110 points in total. Additional duelists may be added for 7 points per model. As you can see there, their equipment, they carry 2 hand weapons. They also have throwing knives as well as cloaks. Now, you might be wondering, why is cloak such a big deal? Here's why it's such a big deal. First of all, these guys have Killing Blow for Vespero only. They also have Skirmishers, but they have this special rule called Cloak and Dagger. Vespero and Duelists may be rolled failed parry saves because of that cloak ability as well. Then we have Grimacing Death Mask, which is an enchanted item. All enemies in base contact with Vespero lose 1 attack in the first round of close combat. This has no effect on models with Immunity Psychology special rule. Now, if you'll notice, it doesn't say to a minimum of 1, which is really good because what that means is that all enemies in base contact with Vespero lose 1 attack for the first round of combat. Very, very useful that, especially if you decide to flank somebody. So that part's kind of nice too. Out there we have our next freelance unit called Voland's Venators. These are a freelance unit for cavalry. Pretty mediocre stats. Voland himself has movement 4, 5 weapon skill, 5 ballistic skill, 4 strength and toughness, 2 wounds, 5 initiative, 3 attacks, 8 leadership. The Venators have basically 1 additional weapon skill and 1 additional strength. That's what sets them up a little bit differently from the other ones. 4 Venators in Voland, including a standard bearing musician, costs 190 points. Each Venator costs 25 points on top of that. They come with lances, full plate armor, shields, and bartered war horses. So these guys are pretty decent, all things considered, especially since they removed their drunken rule. Originally, these guys had a drunken rule attached to them that kind of depended on what they were doing and what they weren't going to be able to do. As you can see here, it says we are Voland's Venators, the drunken cavalry. So it looks like they removed that one. So these guys are actually been buffed a little bit, which is actually kind of interesting. You don't see buffing taking very much in the 9th edition rules. Then we have Captain Edvard van der Kral as well as Manon's Blades. This is basically a mercenary company, just like your typical sellsword company. They have some buffs to them, however. Van der Kral, he's got 4 movement, 5 weapon skill, 5 ballistic skill, 4 strength and toughness, 2 wounds, 5 initiative, 3 attacks, 8 leadership. Manon's Blades, these soldiers have 4 movement, 4 weapon skills, so a little bit better fighters than your typical sellswords. 3 ballistic skill, strength and toughness, 1 wound, 3 initiative, 1 attack, 7 leadership. Edvard van der Kral at 9 Manon's Blades, including a standard bearer musician, costs 160 points. Additional Manon's Blades may be added for a cost of 6 points per unit. These guys are equipped with hand weapon, light armor, as well as shields. These guys are the mercenary special rules. This is why you want to take them. It says Dirty Fighter. At the end of every round of combat, van der Kral is in and survives, and after all other blows have been struck, he may make an additional single attack with the Killing Blow special rule against a model of his choice in base contact. Van der Kral has a regeneration of 5 up, as well as immunity to Killing Blow special rules, and then we have the Sea Bride Standard. The unit carrying this banner causes Sphere, adds +1 to the distance roll when distributing an enemy. So these are really good flanking units to use. So like for example, if you have a pikeman up in the front, these guys flank and you break your enemy, send the Manon's Blades to chase them down because they can chase them down and kill them all. Now we have Al Mukhtar's Desert Dogs. It's probably one of the most useful light cavalry units in the Dogs of War. So let's talk about these guys real quick. So we have Al Mukhtar, which is our leader. He's got 5 weapon skill, 5 ballistic skill, 4 strength and toughness, 2 wounds, 5 initiative, 3 attacks, 8 leadership. We have Sheikh Shufti, which is one of the special characters involved in this unit. 4 weapon skill, 3 ballistic skill, 4 strength and toughness, 2 wounds, 4 initiative, 2 attacks, 8 leadership. We have Ibn, which is a blind kid who's the standard bearer for this unit. He's got 0 weapon skill, ballistic skill because, well, he's blind. He's also got 3 strength and toughness, 1 wound, 3 initiative, 0 attacks, and 6 leadership because, well, he's blind. And then we have your desert dogs. These are your typical soldiers you have with movement 4, 3 weapon skill, 3 strength, ballistic skill, 3 strength and toughness, 1 wound, 3 initiative, 1 attack, 7 leadership. And then of course you have your Arabian steeds. Now the reason why these are basically like normal wars, except they have movement 9, so they are an inch faster than normal fast cav. And these guys are actually quite good. And let's talk about exactly what they can do. So Al Mukhtar, Sheikh Ahmed Shufti, Ibn the standard bearer and a musician, and 1 rider, so this is all 5 of them, costs 170 points. Additional desert dogs may be added for a cost of 12 points per model. This is what they carry. They carry hand weapons and shields. Sheikh Shufti carries a scimitar of Dakasir, and at the same time these guys have fast cavalry rules as well as mercenary rules, but this is why you like them so much. They have zealotry. Enemies with this special rule, models with this special rule deduct D3 from their leadership modifier when taking break tests. So because of that, it's one of the nice things about these things. They can actually stay there and actually fight as well, which is actually kind of nice. So that's the reason why you take these guys, because even though they may not be able to outnumber their foes, they can still attack as well. And that's one of the things that's actually nice about these guys. However, though, they have been nerfed a little bit because originally they did have ambushers special rules, but it looks like they took that away from them because of balance. Good old-fashioned balance. Anyways, we have the Scimitar of Dakasir. The Dakasir gives Sheikh Ahmed Shufti +1 strength and strength bonus 1 special rule when charging, and we have the Black Banner of the Mercatin, which means the Desert Dogs add D3 to their combat res roll at the end of each close combat. So you can see how this could be useful. They get +3 to their combat resolution, plus they get minus D3 from their own break tests. And when they used to have the ambushers rule, these guys used to break fools and run them down like it's nobody's business. But they took away the ambushers rule, so that part's kind of sad. Now then, we have the Birdmen of Katraza. These guys are kind of interesting. Imagine, yeah, so you can see this picture here. They're basically dudes with gliders attached to their back, and they fly around like Condor Man. So let's go and talk about these real quick. So down to low, and the 4 of his Birdmen cost 80 points, and additional Birdman may be added for points of 13 points per model. Down to low has got movement 4, weapon skill 4, ballistic skill 5, 4 strength, 3 toughness, 2 wounds, 4 initiative, 2 attacks, 8 leadership. Your Birdman has got 4 movement, 3 weapon skill, 4 ballistic skill, which is why you take them, 3 strength, toughness, 1 wound, 3 initiative, 1 attack, and 7 leadership. They have hand weapons as well as crossbows, and they have this fly special rule. Oh, looks like they only give them fly 8. They don't get the full fly bonus like everybody else does. Balance. Oh, and they also took away their ambushers rule. Oh my goodness, these guys got nerfed really, really bad. So not only they can't fly like everybody else, they also took away their ambushers rule, which was the point of these guys. These guys would actually ambush enemies and then shoot them with crossbows, and still zip around and fly around and destroy war machines. That's exactly why you took these guys for. Sorry, I oversold these guys. I thought they were going to be cool, but then it looks like they nerfed them really bad. I'm sorry. Well, they do have this one rule called shoot on the wing. While flying, the Birdmen ignore the move and fire special from their crossbows. And they used to have ambushers on top of that. And they used to be able to fly like everybody else. That's really sad. Well, anyway, if you want to be able to fly and shoot, this would be kind of cool. Not as effective as they used to be when they used to be in the ambush, but whatever. Okay, no problem. Then we have Anaconda's Amazons. These are the female Amazons from Lustria. So yes, these characters show up in this one. So let's talk about them real quick. So you have Anaconda as leader. She's got movement 4, 5 weapon skill, 5 ballistic skill, 4 strength and toughness, 2 wounds, 5 initiative, 3 attacks, 8 leadership. Then we have Hummingbird, who's also got 4 movement, 4 weapon skill, 3 ballistic skill, 3 strength and toughness, 1 wound, 3 initiative, 2 attacks, 8 leadership, as well as Piranha. She's got 4 movement, 4 weapon skill, 3 ballistic skill, 3 strength and toughness, 1 wound, 3 initiative, 2 attacks, 6 leadership. Anaconda and 4 Amazons, including Hummingbird and the Standard Bearer, and Piranha, the musician, cost 100 points. Additional Amazons may be added, cost at 8 points per model. So their equipment is the Blades of the Ancients. They also got 4 Striders, a special rule, Mercenary special rules, Scouts, as well as Skirmishers. So these are nice to use deploying your enemy's back ranks. So the Blade of the Ancients come with 2 attacks. You have a range attack, which is 12-inch range, strength of 4. They have armor piercing 2, magical attacks, and quick to fire. And then you have close combat. They give them +1 strength, +1 attack. Magical attacks requires 2 hands. In addition, a model wielding Blades of the Ancients receives a 6-up ward. So these are your premier war machine hunters, is what you basically use these guys for. Then we have Lupin Krupp's Fighting Cocks. So these guys are your halflings. These guys are your halfling scouts, what these guys are. Hold on. I take that back. They used to be halfling scouts. I don't know if that's the same case anymore, because I said the same thing about the birdmen earlier, but we'll take a look at the rules real quick. So let's take a look at these guys. So first of all, Lumpen Krupp, he's got 4 movement, 3 weapon skill, 5 ballistic skill, 3 strength toughness, 2 wounds, 6 initiative, 3 attacks, 9 leadership. You got Ned Hamfist, he's kind of like your Samwise Gamgee character. He's got 4 movement, 2 weapon skill, 5 ballistic skill, 2 strength and toughness, 1 wound, 5 initiative, 2 attacks, 8 leadership. And then you have your fighting cocks. These guys are 4 movement, 2 weapon skill, and 5 ballistic skill, 2 strength and toughness, 1 wound, 5 initiative, 1 attack, 8 leadership. And this 5 of ballistic skill is the reason why you took these guys, first of all. So Lumpen Krupp and 9 fighting cocks, including Ned, properly Nedley, Hamfist, the standard bearer, and a musician, costs 140 credits, 140 points. Wow, saying credits. I've been doing too much Necromunda stuff, I guess. Additional fighting cocks may be added at a cost of 9 points per model. The unit is about 10 up. They have hand weapons and short bows. Lumpen Krupp is a Krupp with a hand weapon, short bow, and a shield. And they have 4 Strider mercenaries. Okay, good. They got their scouts ability still, as well as their skirmishing ability. Glad to see they didn't lose that one. And they have their short and nimble, which means they're -1 to hit in close combat. Oh, that's too bad. Short and nimble used to not give them just -1 to hit in close combat, but also -1 to hit in shooting as well. But I guess balance had to strike its head again. So yeah, Lumpen Krupp, guys. These guys were always good for scouting around and attacking your enemies, also harassing toughness 3 units by shooting at them from the back end. So these guys were actually quite good back in the day. I'm sad they took away their ability to get shot, -1 to hit and being shooting attacks against them, but you know, them's the breaks, I guess. So after that, we have Long Drawn Slayer Pirates. Yes, you did not read that mistake. Read that. They have Slayer Pirates now. So let's see if they're the same as they used to be. So let's take a look here real quick. So Long Drawn the Slayer plus 9 Slayer Pirates, including a standard bearer musician, costs 195 points. Additional Slayer Pirates may be added for a cost of 12 points per model. Looks like Long Drawn has got 3 movement, 6 weapon skill, 4 ballistic skill, 4 strength, 5 toughness, 2 wounds, 4 initiative, 3 attacks, 10 leadership. Your Slayer Pirates got 3 movement, 4 weapon skill, 3 ballistic skill, 3 strength, 4 toughness, 1 wound, 3 initiative, 1 attack, and 10 leadership. So yeah, these guys all carry brace of pistols. So let's go and talk about these real quick. First of all, they got Ancestral Grudge, which gives them hatred against orcs and goblins, skaven, and hobgoblins. The units entirely composed of models with this rule do not need to pass a leadership test in order to march, regardless of the proximity of enemy units. And they have Dwarf Rum. Enemy units in base contact with models with this special rule suffer a -1 to their weapon skill in close combat. This does not affect models with the Undead, Demonic, or Marker Nurgle special rules. The Slayer Pirates may not be deployed closer than 6 inches to any other unit in the army that they start at the battle. So, looks like they kind of changed them up a little bit. Originally, the Dwarf Pirates, these guys can only shoot, is what they could only do in close combat. They could use their pistols in close combat, they could shoot for range attacks. Their ballistic skills were a little higher, I believe, in previous editions, but no problem. These guys are still Slayers, and yeah, they kind of nerfed them a little bit as well. The reason why is because, you know, they have Slayers, and Slayers always wound you up on a 4-up no matter what. That rule used to apply to these guys. So imagine 4-up wounding you no matter what with pistols. You can see how deadly these guys were against monsters and stuff, but balance. All right, continuing on. We have Beorg, Bearstruck, and the Bearmen of Urzlo. So these guys were your Marauders that we were talking about earlier, but one of these guys used to be a werebear, as you can see in the artwork right here. So let's go talk about these guys real quick. So Beorg, movement 4, 6 weapon skill, 5 strength and toughness. He has 0 ballistic skill because he's a bear. 3 wounds, 3 initiative, 4 attacks, 8 leadership. We have Oral the Younger, with 4 movement, 4 weapon skill, 3 ballistic skill, 4 strength, 3 toughness, 1 wound, 4 initiative, 2 attacks, 7 leadership. And your Bearmen have 4 movement, 4 weapon skill, 3 ballistic skill, 4 strength, 3 toughness, 1 wound, 4 initiative, 1 attack, and 7 leadership. Beorg and 9 Bearmen, including Oral the Younger, the standard bearer, and the musician, cost a total of 305 credits, up 305 points. Wow. Additional Bearmen may be added at a cost of 9 points per model. These guys have hand weapons, light armor. These guys originally had heavy armor originally, and shield. Beorg is a werebear. He wears no armor and fights with his claws and teeth. So they bumped up the points and took away their heavy armor. That's sad. They also have Frenzy, so that's kind of nice. They still kept that going. But they were Frenzy guys with heavy armor originally. Alright, so continue on. They had Bear Fang Talisman. The Bear Fang gives Beorg the Ward Save 4-up special rule, and the Bear Banner. Beorg and the Bearmen of Urzlo gain +1 to hit in the first round of close combat. Does not apply to any other character joining the unit. So while that part was really cool, I wish they would have brought back the heavy armor, because that's what made him so resilient, is because they had heavy armor and shields that gave him a 4-up armor save. And they also had frenzy. So that's part of sad that they took that away. But you know, balance. So moving on to Golfag's Mercenary Ogres. So I'm going to tell you guys right now, these guys got nerfed hardcore. I'm just going to tell you that right now. So let's go and talk about that real quick. So yeah, this is supposed to be Golfag Maneater, as in the special character from the Ogre Kingdoms books. Let's go and talk about these guys real quick. So Golfag himself has been nerfed pretty bad. He's got 6 movement, 5 weapon skill, 2 ballistic skill, 5 strength and toughness, 4 wounds, 3 initiative, 5 attacks, 8 leadership. Scaff, which is the standard bearer, he has 6 movement, 3 weapon skill, 2 ballistic skill, 4 strength and toughness, 3 wounds, 2 initiative, 4 attacks, 7 leadership. And then we have the Ogres, of course. 6 movements, 3 weapon skill, 2 ballistic skill, 4 strength and toughness, 3 wounds, 2 initiative, 3 attacks, 7 leadership. So I'm going to tell you right now, this unit's been really, really nerfed. Okay, so let's talk about that. Golfag and 4 ogres, including Scaff the standard bearer and a musician, cost 285 points. Additional ogres may be added at a cost of 31 points per model. All right, so here's their equipment: 2 hand weapons and light armor. Originally, these guys had 2 hand weapons and heavy armor originally. And then Golfag had 2 weapons and medium armor. He used to actually have the same, pretty much the same stats as Golfag Maneater does, the guy from the rulebook. He had the easy come, easy go rule. He actually had that standard with him as well. At the same time, you'll notice they have nothing. So these guys were supposed to be the original man-eaters. So originally these guys actually had Vanguard and Stubborn is what they originally had, okay? Because they Vanguard up forward, so these guys would be right in the midfield, and they would charge right across the battlefield to destroy stuff as quickly as possible. And they had their been there, done that rule. Their Stubborn and their Vanguard rules made them really, really deadly, because even though they're outnumbered, they were stubborn, so nothing modified their break tests and their combat scores for their combat resolution. At the same time, they also had a lot to offer. They can mix them up the weapons they carried. You can give them heavy armor. You can give them magic standards as well. You can give them a bunch of different stuff, but as you can see here, they have none of that. None of that is existent on this one as well. Plus, they also nerfed the Ogre charge for the Ogre Kingdoms to begin with anyways, so yeah, these guys got beat bad. I guess people from the Balance bandwagon couldn't figure out how to beat Golfag's Man-Eaters. These were the guys who made Man-Eaters cool, man, and they took them away, which is so sad. So sad. But anyways, so there you have it. So yeah, Ogre Mercenaries are basically what they have. They have nothing that separates them from normal Ogre Mercenaries from the basic rulebook for these guys. So hard pass. They really nerfed these guys really bad. All right, so we have Ugla Khan's Wolf Boys. So let's talk about these guys real quick. These are mercenary hobgoblins. Ugla Khan and 4 Hobgoblin Wolf Boys, including the Standard Bearer and Hornblower, cost 170 points. This is the minimum size regiment you can hire. The size regiment may be increased to 15 points per additional Hobgoblin. In Ugla Khan, he's got 4 movement, 5 weapon skill, 5 ballistic skill, 4 strength and toughness, 2 wounds, 5 initiative, 3 attacks, 7 leadership. The Wolf Boys have 4 movement, 4 weapon skill, 3 ballistic skill, 3 strength and toughness, 1 wound, 2 initiative, 1 attack, and 6 leadership. And they ride giant wolves. So wait, hold up. It says 170 points here and 145 points here. Okay, so in that case, go with the lesser one, is what I would say for you to go with. They come with spear, bow, light armor, as well as shields. They have fast cavalry as well as the mercenaries. They have dead shooty. Ugla Khan and his boys do not suffer the usual -1 hit penalty for moving and shooting. I'm glad they kept that in there. Then we have our treacherous Gits, of course, because these guys are also hobgoblins, so they do have to worry about that rule, of course. And then we have the Pelt of Wolfag. It says the Wolf Boys must always pursue broken enemies from combat and add +D6 to their pursuit distance rolled. So that's what you'd use these guys for. You have them sneak up on guys and take them out. You'd actually give quite a bit of these guys to actually help you out during this time period as well. So these guys are pretty good. Now, Ruglad's Armored Orcs. Yes, this was a mercenary armor unit that you could get, and that's one of the best things about these guys. So these are orcs, but they have crossbows. Let's talk about that real quick. So Ruglud, he's got 4 movement, 5 weapon skill, 3 ballistic skill, 4 strength, 5 toughness, 2 wounds, 3 initiative, 3 attacks, 8 leadership. We have Maggot, which is a goblin standard bearer. He's got 4 movement, 2 weapon skill, 3 ballistic skill, 3 strength and toughness, 1 wound, 2 initiative, 1 attack, 6 leadership. And then you have your armored orcs, which had 4 movement, 3 weapon skill, 3 ballistic skill, 3 strength, 4 toughness, 1 wound, 2 initiative, 1 attack, 7 leadership. So, Ruglug, and 9 armored orcs, including Maggot, the Goblin Standard Bearer, and Musician, cost 170 points. Additional armored orcs may be added for 10 points per model. These guys have hand weapons, crossbows, as well as medium armor. So yeah, these guys are really, really good, cool. Ignore green skin panic. Ruglud and his armored orcs have a disdain for their own kind. They treat units with Warhammer, orcs, and goblins as expendable, so they get panicked. These guys are your Morkers, right? So you have Gork and Mork. Gork is brutal yet cunning, and then you have Mork, who's cunning yet brutal. And Mork was more the cerebral of all the orc gods, and this is why these guys have disdain for their fellow kind. They have their chopper rules, which give them a strength bonus of 1. And you have Maggot. This guy gives them +2 to their combat resolutions because that's what buffed them up. And they also have their animosity, of course, as well, but this time they shoot at you as well, and they also squabble. But the reason why I took these guys is because they had armor, heavy armor at that time, as well as crossbows. Who would have thunk it? But yeah, these guys used to make really great flank protecting units. You use these guys to protect one of your flanks from being attacked because they can shoot at you and smash you in the face in close combat. So, and have the armor to actually survive. And that was the reason why you took these guys. These guys were really, really cool back in the day as well. Then we have Tichi Huichi's Raiders. These guys are skinks who ride cold ones. So let's talk about these guys real quick. So these guys are Tichi Huichi has 6 movement, 4 weapon skill, 5 ballistic skill, 4 strength, 3 toughness, 2 wounds, 6 initiative, 3 attacks, 7 leadership. The Great Crested Skink, which is one of his champions, he's got 6 movement, 3 weapon skill, 3 ballistic skill, 3 strength, 2 toughness, 1 wound, 4 initiative, 1 attack, 6 leadership. And of course, they ride Great Horned Ones. These are basically cold ones, as you can see here, but they don't suffer from stupidity. They have 8 movement, so they're faster than your normal cold ones, 3 weapon skill, 4 strength and toughness, 1 wound, 3 initiative, 2 attacks, 5 leadership. Tichi Huichi and 4 Great Crested Skinks, including a standard bearer musician, cost a total of 150 points. Additional Great Crested Skinks may be added for a cost of 20 points per model. They arm with spears as well as shields. They have fast cavalry, fear, mercenaries, natural armor 6-up, as well as poison attacks from the Skinks. They have cold-blooded leadership and blessed by the old ones. Enemies can never pursue Tichi's Raiders if the Skinks break from close combat. So yeah, these guys were actually quite good. So imagine that, Skinks riding cold ones. Good luck trying to convert these guys or finding these miniatures. They're very hard to find, but they're really nice. Especially since they can never be chased if they broke from close combat. It's one of the reasons why you like them so much. Now, probably one of the most notorious units is Mengel's Manhide's Manflayers. This is a Dark Elf mercenary unit. And these guys are the kings of costs. So let's go talk about these guys real quick. So, Mengel Manhide, he's got 5 movement, 6 weapon skill, ballistic skill, 4 strength, 3 toughness, 2 wounds, 7 initiative, 3 attacks, 9 leadership. The Manflayers, which make up his unit, have 5 movement, 5 weapon skill, 5 ballistic skill, 3 strength, 3 toughness, 1 wound, 5 initiative, 1 attack, and 8 leadership. So these guys are the king of costs. Let's go and talk about that real quick. So Mengel and 4 Manflayers, including a standard bearer musician, cost 155 credits. Additional Manflayers may be added at a cost of 19 points per model. The reason why these guys cost so much is because of their rules and because of their equipment. They come with great weapons, they come with repeater crossbows, and medium armor. Mengel is equipped with a great weapon, repeater crossbow, pistol, and medium armor as well. So these guys have heavy armor, 5-up armor saves. They got great weapons so they can throw down in close combat. They also have repeater crossbows as well. Now they have been nerfed a little bit because they don't have always strike first. However, they have Hatred of High Elves. They still have poison attacks, so that's that as well. They also have scouts and skirmishers. They do have Elven Grace, which I guess is okay. And they have Murderous Prowess. Models of this rule may reroll all wound rolls of 1 when making close combat attacks. Now, let's talk about their rules. They have flayers. This regiment may never pursue enemies that they break in close combat. Instead, they will flay those that have fallen, ripping their skins from their flesh. For each enemy unit that they break or wipe out in close combat, they gain 100 victory points. Okay, this is the reason why these guys cost so much. You break someone, you just earn additional 100 victory points. You can easily do that by destroying war machine crews with these guys or attacking back ranks. These guys are very, very deadly. Now, for their magic items, they have the Banner of Kalad. Any unit wishing to target Mangel's Manflayers with a missile attack suffer -1 to hit. This is increased to -2 if the Manflayers are more than 12 inches away from shooters as well. And of course, they give you your rear crossbow shots as well as your repeater crossbow pistol shots here too as well. So this is the reason why these guys cost so many points, is because they actually are quite good for what they could do. It'd been better if they had always strike first, but you know, this edition of Warhammer Elves got hit with the nerf bat pretty hard in this edition, so that part was kind of sad. So let's go with another favorite. This is the Cursed Company. This is an undead unit, actually. So we have a guy named Richter Kruger is his name. He leads him. He's got 4 movement, 5 weapon skill, 3 ballistic skill, 4 strength and toughness, 2 wounds, 4 initiative, 3 attacks, 9 leadership. And you have your average skeleton warrior, 4 movement, 2 weapon skill and blitz skill, 3 strength, 3 toughness, 1 wound, 2 initiative, 1 attack, and 3 leadership. So basically imagine a white undead white vampire counts white leading an undead unit that hates undead, if that makes sense. Richter Kruger in the narrative was a guy who's got cursed by the undead, and he hates the undead because of it. So let's go on and talk about exactly what they got. So for their equipment, they have hand weapons, shields, and light armor for the skeletons. So pretty good. 5 up armor saves, not bad. Richter Kruger himself, however, comes with a shield. He's got medium armor as well as the magical sword Blight is what he actually carries as well. Originally, he carried Scabscrath originally, the same vampire count weapon that is so deadly in the vampire counts rulebooks. That was actually his weapon originally, Richter Kruger's actually. So continuing on. So first of all, we have special rules of hatred undead. That's Richter Kruger. He hates the undead. And as such, of course, we have all the rules attached to an undead unit. But then we have this special rule called Join Us in Damnation. If any model within the Cursed Company slays an infantry or cavalry model in close combat, then 1 skeleton is created in its place. Models created in this way are added to the Cursed Company and are armed in the same manner as the company. The victory point value of the unit is unaffected. The Cursed Company is a completely independent acting unit. Richter and the Cursed Company will never use the Aspiring Presence ability of the Army General. So that's the reason why I take these guys, because every single time they kill someone, their ranks get larger as they kill people. So Blight, which is the weapon carried by Richter Kruger, all attacks made with Blight are resolve a +1 strength. They have Killing Blow, and the Dark Gem of the Curse gives them a 4 ward save, and the Battle of Malediction, the Cursed Company suffers 1 less wound than they normally would as a result of being unstable. So pretty cool rules all said and done. This is another good tar pitting unit that they would used to use in the Dogs of War army. You send these guys up forward to kind of tie up your enemies because they're undead, so they don't have to worry about breaking. At the same time, every kill they made, they replenished their units. So that part was kind of cool. So let's talk about Bronzino's Galloper guns, which is not as good as they used to be because 9th edition decided to nerf cannons because apparently using terrain and cover to prevent from being shot from cannons just seems to evade people. So because of that, that concept is just foregoing for them. So because of that, nerf cannons to solve that problem, I guess. So Master Gunner Bronzino and 1 Galloper gun team costs 135 points. You could put another one for 90 points per gun in your team. Bronzino has movement 4, 5 weapon skill, 5 ballistic skill, 4 strength and toughness, 2 wounds, 5 initiative, 3 attacks, 8 leadership. The crew is mediocre, just normal human beings. The Galloper guns have 6 toughness, 3 wounds, and of course you have a warhorse. Bronzino himself rides a horse. It says he's got a hand weapon. Bronzino is equipped with a hand weapon and heavy armor. He rides a warhorse, and then of course you have your war machines. Now, Master Gunner says nominate 1 Galloper gun team within 3 inches of Bronzino in the shooting phase. They may re-roll the artillery dice to determine the cannonball's initial landing position before the bounce. In addition, as long as Bronzino is within 3 inches of Galloper gun, he's allowed to take a lookout Sir roll just as if he's within 3 inches of a unit of 5 or more models of the same troop type as himself. Now, the Galloper guns, in case you guys were wondering, the Galloper guns were basically light cannons that you could maneuver around and move around quite a bit. They had a 48-inch range, strength of 7, caused D3 wounds, so that part was kind of nice. They don't fire grape shot, though. So rapid movement. The Galloper gun is harnessed to a warhorse ridden by one of the gunners. This enables the gun and its entire crew to move using the warhorse's movement, as the remaining crew members are assumed to jump on the harness and hitch a lift. However, due to the weight of the gun and the crew, the warhorse suffers -1 to movement value. Oh, boo! It's not supposed to be that way. These warhorses were specifically bred to do so in older editions, so they don't have to worry about the 8-inch movement allowance as well. Oh well. So the Galloper guns may march move, and if the Galloper gun is charged, the crew may hold or flee with a swift stride special rule. If they flee, the gun is assumed to be limbered up immediately without any movement penalty. Deployment. Each gun and its crew operate as an independent unit. Bronzino may lend his leadership to each gun as long as within 8 inches of it. It looks like they took away their Vanguard rule too. In older editions, these guys could use Vanguard as well with the rapid movement as well. So you move them up 12 inches, they start popping shots at enemy flanks. If enemies were trying to come after them, they'd run away, reset up shop again, and continue shooting. But because they make the bounce scatter now, because, you know, nerfing and balance, quote unquote, the Bronzino's Galloper guns are not as good as they used to be, which is actually kind of sad because that was one of the reasons why he took them. They're really, really handy and really good to have around. But, you know, balance. So moving on, we have Malachi Mackeson's Goblin Hewer. This comes back, which is great. This guy is a Slayer engineer, in case you didn't know that. So first of all, it's going to cost 175 points for this. He's got himself, his 2 Slayer crew, as well as a single Goblin Hewer. Malachi's got 3-inch movement, 5 weapon skill, ballistic skill, 4 strength, 5 toughness, 2 wounds, 4 initiative, 3 attacks, 10 leadership. His Slayer crew, 3 movement, 4 weapon skill, 3 ballistic skill, 3 strength, 4 toughness, 1 weapon, 1 wound, 3 initiative, 1 attack, 10 leadership. The Goblin Hero's got 7 toughness and 3 wounds as well. So it looks like they have great weapons. Malachi is armed with a great weapon and a repeating dwarf handgun. He's got the Ancestral Grudge skill. We have his engineering skill, so that part's kind of nice. It says the Goblin Hero may use Malachi's Ballista skill when firing. However, if he's part of the crew and must stay within 3 inches of the Goblin Hero at all times, Malachi may always fire at a different target with his repeating dwarf handgun than the rest of the Goblin Hero if he wishes. The Goblin Hero fires using the following profile. It's got a 40-inch range, 4 missiles, as well as 4 as strength rather, and so it'd be armor piercing 1. It says in order to fire the Goblin Hero, nominate a target unit within range and line of sight and roll to hit as normal using Malachi's Ballista skill if he's still alive and not firing his repeating handgun. The spinning axe blades fire a variable number of shots depending on the number of ranks in the target unit. Roll a d6 for every rank the target has. If this is the total number of rolls to hit you should make. If the Goblin Hero is in the flank arc of a unit, the number of models in the widest rank is counted as the number of ranks for this purpose. For example, against a unit 4 ranks deep, the Goblin Hero fires 46 shots. If it were 6 models wide and hit in the flank, it fires 66 shots. Casualties are allocated just like normal shooting hits. If firing at a single model or skirmishers or other target that does not use ranks, it fires d6 shots. So really, really good using against anti-horde units, especially against, as you can probably guess, goblins. With strength 4 against toughness 3, it just chews through light armored infantry like it's nobody's business. What is actually kind of cool. It's kind of nice. They actually dropped the points for this one. It's 175 points. It used to be 200 points just on its own as well. So that part was actually kind of neat. And of course, you have the Giants of Albion, which is another unit that they had. You basically have 2 giants. You have Hingis and Bullocks, as well as Cacciator. Hingis, Bullocks, and Cacciator. Both Giants and Hingis are armed with hand weapons. And then we have Hingis' infantry, special character human. We have 2 Bullocks as well as Cacciator. These are 2 giants. Hingis is a level 1 wizard who uses spells in the lore of life or the lore of beasts. Oh, that's kind of neat. We have Uggum's Staff, which gives Hingis +1 to dispel and a ward save of 4 up. We also have independent miniatures. We have Giants of Albion as well. They also have their normal giant attacks as well for these guys. So you get 2 of these guys, which is actually quite cool. Then we have Arsenal the Dragon Lord. This is a special character who actually wrote a dragon. He is a high elf character and wrote a dragon for this one, so that part is pretty cool. He costs 520 points for his dragon Death Fang as well as himself. Arsenal has 5 movement, 7 movement skill, 6 ballistic skill, 4 strength, 3 toughness, 2 wounds. 2 wounds? He's supposed to have 3 wounds. Anyways, he's got 7 initiative, 4 attacks, 9 leadership. Death Fang's got 6 movement, 7 weapon skills, 0 ballistic skill, 7 strength and toughness, 7 wounds, 2 initiative, 6 attacks, and 9 leadership. He's got hand weapon, lance, as well as dragon armor and shield. He's also got Death Fang the Dragon, martial prowess. Arsenal may reroll all to hit wounds of 1 when making close combat attack. We also have Valor of Ages, which says if your opponent's army roster contains 1 or more models from Dark Elves, Arsenal may reroll failed panic test and gain fear. Dragon Tamer, if Arsenal is fighting in close combat against another dragon, then the enemy dragon must take a leadership test before it attacks. If the test is failed, the dragon may not attack this turn. However, a dragon will only refuse to fight so long as not attacked itself. Should the dragon be attacked, it'll always fight back. So it looks like he's got fly of 7. Wow, they really nerfed his flying ability. He should be able to fly 10. He's got natural armor 3 up. He's also got a strength 4 flaming attack, breath attack. We have Dragon Armor, Heavy Armor. The Dragon Armor gives Arsenal the immunity to flaming attack special rule, and we have the Amulet of Dragonheart. All missile attacks against Arsenal as dragons suffer a -1 to hit penalty. And it should say any shooting attack that has no ballistic skill has a 4 up in order to hit them, so like protection against cannons and things of that nature, but I guess they nerfed this guy pretty bad. For 500 and what is his points again? Let me take a look here. For 520 points, he should have that last bit there. But I guess, you know, balance decided to strike up again. So that's pretty sad. They kind of nerfed Arsenal the Dragon Lord. He's actually used to be pretty good, but I guess they took that away. He can't fly as fast as he used to either. That's kind of messed up. But anyway, them's the breaks, I guess. Because I guess people can't figure out how to kill monsters, I guess. So then we have our Winch Hunters. These are 2 new characters that we have as well. These guys are named Johann von Hall as well as Wilhelm Hasberg. So let's talk about these guys. They let's see here. They both cost 190 points apiece. Johann is 80 points, while Wilhelm is worth 110. Johann von Hall, he's got 4 movement, 5 weapon skill, 5 ballistic skill, 4 strength and toughness, 2 wounds, 5 initiative, 3 attacks, 9 leadership. William Hasberg, he's got 4 movement, 4 weapon skill, 3 ballistic skill, 4 strength and toughness, 2 wounds, 4 attacks, 4 initiative, 2 attacks, 8 leadership. Johann carries a brace of pistols, an assortment of stakes, holy relics, and stake of Sigmar. Wilhelm is armed with the holy staff and carries the great book, the Hammer of Witches. They have immune to psychology as well as hatred rules. Wilhelm does have his battle prayer spells, so that's nice. They still kept that in there. Divine Power. Wilhelm can channel and dispel dice the same way as level 1 wizard. Accusation. After deployment before the first turn, we have your, once again, your Witch Hunter weaponry as well as your Witch Hunter abilities, like you do from the Empire rulebook. Then we have the Stake of Sigmar. Doubles Johann's strength when he is fighting against models with demonic, undead, or vampiric special rules. An unsaved wound caused by the stake automatically slays any model with a vampiric special rule with no armor saves allowed. We have the Holy Staff, which is a great weapon. A staff will automatically wound any model from Warhammer Skaven, as well as models with undead, demonic, or vampire special rules. And the Hammer of Witches. Wilhelm and Johann give the magic resistance 3 special rule against any spells and lore of Sneech, Nurgle, Slaanesh, Necromancy, and Dark Magic. So yeah, these are your anti-monster guys. If I remember correctly, I believe these guys are from the Mordheim games, where they originally got the inspiration for these guys. And then, of course, we have Gotrek and Felix, the two legendary heroes of Warhammer Fantasy. These guys have done it no matter what you can think of. If they haven't killed it, they will kill it, and all the way up to the end times, actually. So these guys are awesome. So let's talk about them. So real quick, they both cost 360 points in total. 270 for Gotrek, 90 for Felix. Gotrek has 3 movement, 7 weapon skill, 3 ballistic skill, 4 strength, 5 toughness, 3 wounds, 5 initiative, 4 attacks, 10 leadership. Felix has got 4 movement, 5 weapon skill, 5 ballistic skill, 4 strength and toughness, 2 wounds, 5 initiative, 3 attacks, and 8 leadership. Gotrek carries Gotrek's axe. Felix carries the Wormslayer blade and light armor. They both have skirmishers. Gotrek, as a demon slayer, Gotrek is unbreakable, and why he lives, so is Felix. In addition, Gotrek's strength is always equal to the toughness of his target, unless it would be higher. This means that he always wounds on a minimum of 4 up. In addition, when attacking monsters, he's got the multiple D3 wound special rule, and any ward save successfully made against attacks made by him must be re-rolled. As a dwarf, Gotrek has a hatred of orcs and goblins and Skaven, and does not need to pass leadership tests in order to march, regardless of the proximity of enemy units. Gotrek's Doom. As long as Gotrek is alive, he and Felix have the ward save of 4 up and magic resistance 2 special rules. So yeah, that part is really, really cool too. As I mentioned, you have Gotrek's axe. For each of Gotrek's initial attacks that hit, he gains 1 additional attack. In addition, Gotrek's axe also has a ignore armor save special rule, and against enemies with toughness 5 or more, he may re-roll wounds to wound. So he's got D3 wounds, maybe roll wounds against high toughness enemies. Just the preeminent monster slayer, this guy. You put him against anybody, monsters, enemy generals, whatever the case may be, Gotrek is going to kill it. And once he gets in close combat with it, it's going to die. And of course, we have Felix. Felix has got the Wormslayer blade, gives him +2 attacks. In addition, Felix must always declare a charge against a dragon or drake if it is possible to do so. Against dragons and drakes, the Wormslayer blade allows Felix to reroll missed attacks and failed rolls to the wound. Now, you might be wondering, wait a minute, how's that going to help you out, especially since he's only, strength 4? But don't forget, strength 6 always wounds, so keep that in mind. You could get a bunch of those, especially if you get 5 attacks with this thing against dragons. So, get Gotrek and Felix. These guys are the OG of monster killing. And that pretty much makes up the rosters that we have for this one. Alright, the last thing we're going to talk about real quick is this chart right here. This is the for hire chart. So like I told you, you could pretty much recruit these units to pretty much almost all the armies that were available at that time period. You can easily use them as either a hero core, special, or a rare choice. They could be, of course, bound by blood, trusted, suspicious, or desperate. As you see, we have basically all the different things you can see here. So for example, the Alicante Fellowship, for example, would count as a special choice for Albion, Amazons, Araby. Bretonnians, for the most part, they're not hiring anybody. The only guys they're hiring really are the Witch Hunters as well as Gotrek and Felix. As you can see, they tell you the army, they tell you exactly what they would make up for that unit, as well as same thing on the next page here for the normal armies that you also have there as well. So you can see here we have all the armies for all the different nations for the 9th age, sorry, not the 9th age, for 9th edition Warhammer Fantasy Battle. So you can see they give you all the different information for that as well. So for example, Malachi Mackeson's Goblin Hewer, they're pretty much a rare choice for pretty much all of the different armies, but you see there's some armies he won't work with. For example, goblins, obviously he's not going to work for those guys. You know, things like that, for example, and kind of show you exactly how you can go about hiring these guys for the most part. And of course, if you decide to pick these guys out from Dogs of War, they pretty much make a core rare. Let's see if I can find that real fast. So if we see if I can find Dogs of War, here we go. So you see for Dogs of War, most of these guys are core, special, rare, heroic choices for the most part. Okay, so, and then actually, if you really wanted to, you could actually make up an entire Dogs of War army using nothing but Regiments of Renown in order to do that. So that's actually one of the nice things about that. And that's what actually made these guys so cool for the time period that they lived in as well. Now, overall, in the end, for my conclusion for this one, pretty much this, once again, it's an excellent product that's made by Matthias Eliasson. It's very well done. It looks very, very professional as well. Not to mention, it's also free, so you really can't complain about it being free. So because of that, you can download it, you can use it. It's really awesome. My only misgivings against it is that it looks like they nerfed a lot of the different Regiments of Renown. Looks like they nerfed them pretty bad for some of these guys, especially like the Bearmen, for example. They were supposed to have heavy armor. I mean, look at these guys. They got huge armor panels on. They had heavy armor. If I remember correctly, I think they were also toughness 4 as well, if I remember correctly too. So they kind of nerfed those guys, for example. But at the same time, they also buffed units too, like the Alicante Brotherhood, for example. They actually gave these guys heavy armor, for example. Or sorry, medium armor in this edition. And so, you know, and also made them a little bit better. So it's kind of funny how that happens. They kind of like gave and took some nerfing and some buffs throughout this, but in the end though, they kind of messed up a lot of the units in my opinion. But that's just me, just because I like making things powerful. I think that the way to solve this whole quote-unquote overpowered or balanced arguments is just make everything powerful. That way you can just have fun with all of it, but that's just me personally. But anyways, this is an excellent product. I suggest that you download it and use it if you plan on using Dogs of War, especially their Regiments of Renown and 9th edition Warhammer Fantasy Battle. So that's going to do it for this week, guys. As always, please feel free to like, comment, and or subscribe. Your guys' input is valuable to us as always. Also check us out on Facebook, Instagram, as well as blog.com for all the latest, greatest hobby news related to this channel. That's going to do it for this one, you guys. We'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out and stay classy.